Welcome to Empowerment and Illness, the podcast where we shed light on unique journeys of those living with chronic illnesses and autoimmune conditions. I am your host, Gwen. We have a special guest joining us today. Bebe is someone I met on TikTok, and I was moved by one of her posts where she spoke on healing and being positive. She's here to share her experience with her chronic illness. Bebe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gwen. I'm so glad to be here.
So can you start by telling us your journey? How did it get started from the beginning?
Yeah, so my journey has been pretty much lifelong, and I did not realize it's been lifelong until just the last 4 years. So I am 39 years old, but I've been symptomatic since I was really about 5 years old. I lived in a house that got flooded and had a lot of mold, and I was bit by ticks pretty much growing up my entire life. So I can't pinpoint a time that I specifically got sick, but as a kid, I started experiencing what they call Alice in Wonderland syndrome. And that is where your vision starts flipping. It's like, hey, my dining room table would be a giant table. Everything was magnified. And especially as a child, this is incredibly disturbing. And my parents took me to the doctor and asked what was going on and what was happening in my head. And doctors told my parents that, oh, she'll grow out of it, everything's fine. So it's completely normal. So these vision things kept coming up throughout the years, but they did start fading after a while. Then I started experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, stomach aches. I got diagnosed with IBS when I was 10 years old. I got diagnosed with ADD when I was about 14. My grades in school started slipping. My personality started changing. I was always a really good kid, and I started wanting to hang out with the complete wrong crowd. My brain just wasn't working right, and I felt like I was losing myself. I lost my passion. I couldn't figure out what I wanted in life. And then I started working, I graduated college, started working in IT sales. And this was a very stressful job, and I did really well for 15 years. And then the stress of it really hit me, and I realized that something else wasn't quite right. So I started going to the doctor again, and they told me that it was just the stress of the job that was causing some symptoms like insomnia and unbearable anxiety. And so they gave me some pills, some Ambien and Xanax to mask the pain. And that worked for a little while. And then I got run over by a car. And that is when the trauma really emphasized some of the symptoms that were coming up. I started having double vision, and I started having numbness down half of my body. And we thought that this was all related to the car accident, that maybe even though I got run over on my legs, but we thought maybe there was something going on with my spine. And so went through a lot of tests for that, and everything came back fine. And then a few years after that, I moved into another very moldy home, and it was a beautiful home on the outside, but had a lot of mold on the inside, and it was my dream home that I bought. And when I had lived in this house for 6 months, and my mind, I thought that I was going bipolar. I was having rage events where I would even take plates and smash them against the wall, and this is just completely not who I am. And I called in my family and said, hey, something is wrong. I don't feel well. And my mom started experiencing some symptoms when she was in that house. And so that's how we found out that there was mold in the house, and that it was the environment that I was living in that might have been triggering something. So we found a mold doctor, and the doctor that specializes in mold tested me for a lot of different parasites. They gave me a mycotoxin test. They did not test me for Lyme disease. And so I was told that I had fibromyalgia and I had CIRS, chronic inflammatory response syndrome, and that I had to take a bunch of supplements and go through a massive detox treatment. And they threw everything at me and made me so much sicker. And this was probably the lowest that I had. I had to leave my job. I took medical leave for about 3 months. And I thought that I was going to get better in those 3 months because my doctor told me, hey, you're going to get better in 3 months. That's all it's going to take you to heal. And at that time, 3 months seemed like a really long time. And this was about 3.5 years ago. And I just now started feeling better this past year. So it does take some time, but that doctor, they did not do a good job working specifically with me and my body. They gave me a protocol that they give every other person, and I had lost so much weight at this point that my body just couldn't handle the supplements. It couldn't handle the detox. And they were putting me into the sauna 3 to 4 times a day. I was doing IVs a couple of times a day, yoga, walking, and they were having me do all of this in their treatment facility, and this was costing $5,000 out of pocket, no insurance coverage at all. And this was the point where I was like, we're going to run through all of my money, all of my savings within just a couple of months, and I can't do this. So I found another doctor that was more holistic, and he has Lyme, so she knows what I was going through. But I had not been diagnosed with Lyme at this time. She just thought that I had it. After about a year, she put me on a different mold detox, which was much better for me. And she had me working on making sure that my drainage pathways were open so that I could properly detox. Because one thing that I didn't know when I first started going through the healing process is that your body needs to prepare itself to get rid of all this stuff. And if you're trying to detox and get parasites and get the Lyme out of your body, you have to be able to sweat. You have to be able to get these toxins out. And nobody had done that with me. So this woman helped me with that. She helped me find affordable treatments, which was just a lifesaver at that time. And she also, after about a year of going through mold and parasite detox and cleanse, that's when she came to me and told me that she thought we needed to do a Lyme test because I just wasn't getting much better. The fatigue was still taking me over. I had tried to go back to work my job, and I was unable to handle the day-to-day process. I used to have to travel for work. I used to have to take clients out until 2 o'clock in the morning drinking. And when you go through a chronic illness, your lifestyle changes. And that's something that I had a really hard time understanding. And like I would start to get a little bit better, and then I would try to go back to my old life and go back to the exact way that I used to be. And then I would take 2 steps back, and I'd be stuck in bed again for another month, another 2 months. It took about 1.5 years of doing that over and over and over to realize, hey, the universe is really looking out for you, but you need to take a step back. The reason that you keep going through this cycle over and over again is because you're trying to do the same thing over and over. So I had to look at healing a little bit differently. So I had gone through all of this physical detox. I had gone through the Lyme protocol, and I was just stuck. I took that step back, and that's when I realized that I was lacking in some I always had faith as a kid, but I had kind of stepped away for a while. I was lacking any spiritual guidance. So I really went inward for a while, and I went overseas. I went to Bali, I went to Costa Rica, and I went to a couple of wellness retreats that really connected me to my higher soul. And it helped me learn that I am here for a reason, and that I really believe that I got this illness because I was moving so fast at life, and all that mattered to me was how much money was I making? Did I have my dream home? And I wasn't really taking a look at life. I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have a passion back then. And going through that spiritual journey for me really helped me heal in a way that I didn't expect. It gave me, the fatigue started going away. The depression started going away. One thing that you face I had neurological Lyme, so I had a lot of suicidal thoughts. I really had the depression. My brain wasn't mine anymore. Going through the spiritual healing really helped with the depression, helped my purpose. But I didn't quite figure out what I wanted to do, and I still haven't quite figured out what I wanted to do yet. But I made it through the spiritual part, and then there was this other part of healing that everyone's told me about for years and years and years. But I needed to go through my self-love healing. I thought for years that I loved myself, and I didn't. And it really took me getting sick and going to some of those really dark places and choosing some of that for me to be able to accept who I was and accept that I have this illness. And I just 3 weeks ago, for the first time, looked in the mirror and I teared up because I love myself again. Because of all of these years, I feel like I don't know myself, or I did not know myself, and I didn't know really what I enjoyed. So I had lived in the beach in South Carolina, and I packed all my things up. I put them in storage, and I walked across Portugal and Spain and the Camino. That was a feat in itself because I could barely walk around the block 3 years ago, and being able to walk 250 miles across Portugal and Spain was the biggest self-confidence boost that I needed. And now it took 8 months of training to get there, to get to that point. But I got there, and learning how to make it through. So on the Camino, you walk from city to city, and each night you stay in a different hostel in a room full of bunk beds with a bunch of different pilgrims. You walk the way together, and you help each other, and you lift each other up. And it rained for 10 straight days on my Camino. And so we were all, I think there was one day where every single one of us cried, but we all made it through. And that was probably my biggest accomplishment that I've had since I came down with Lyme. And that taught me that I can make it through this life with a lot less than what I thought that I needed. It helped me determine exactly what I want in life. I thought that I always wanted to live in a big city, and I learned that I want to live in a small town, and I ended up, when I left the Camino, I found a house in the mountains. This is where I really learned to connect with myself, because I haven't known myself for the last, I think, almost 25 years. I'm really taking this next year to myself, because my mom always tells me that the person that I'm supposed to marry, I need to spend 4 seasons with them. But I don't even know myself, so I need to spend 4 seasons with myself to get to know me. And I really like me. I have started on this Lyme advocacy journey. I am hoping to spread awareness. When I was at my worst, I had to look at Lyme disease as an entire job. Every single day I had a doctor's appointment, maybe 2 doctor's appointments. I had some kind of treatment that was going on. I had to have full-time care. My mother had to move in with me. It's something that a lot of people just don't understand what goes into actually getting better. And I don't think that I would have gotten better if at that time I hadn't looked at my healing as an actual job and spending every second of the day getting better.
How hard was grieving yourself?
So that is something that I still struggle with. And I don't think that grieving will ever really go away. It took a couple of years for me to realize that I needed to grieve my old self. I still love that old person, but she can't be here anymore, because that's what initially made me bedridden, was everything that was going on. I mean, especially over the holidays, as we're going through Thanksgiving and Christmas right now. I look back on previous holidays and I think about all the alcohol that I was drinking, and I was the life of the party. To myself, I was the life of the party, maybe not to my family. But I am sad that that person is gone, but I really enjoy being with myself more now, and I'm learning to love this new version of me more. And I think my family likes this new version of me more now too, because I don't have the rage, I don't have the sharp edges like I used to. And I know that my family at some point, it was like walking on eggshells around me, especially when I was my sickest. Now it's peaceful.
Yeah, I understand that. It's positive for me to always hear someone talk about their illness or their journey and how it has changed them, but it's in a positive way. We're not sitting back going, woe is me, I'm sick, and I've had all this stuff. And I think that's why when I heard your message, and I'm thinking, okay, she's another person that I need to talk to, because I look for folks who are thriving, even though you're going through things or you went through something, but you're coming out on the other side in a positive way.
And it's the best feeling coming out on this other side. I mean, of course, when you get a chronic illness or someone hears that you've got this, they say, oh, I'm so sorry. I know that must be tough, but like just a couple of days ago, someone said, I'm so sorry that you have Lyme. I said, no, I am thankful for my Lyme. It completely changed my life, and I needed my life to be sane. And I enjoy I have really slow lifestyle now. I maybe work, and by work, I mean I'm in school, I'm going back to school, and I'm studying to be a functional practitioner. And I am working on Lyme advocacy projects, or I'm out running errands. I consider that work, and I can manage that for about 4 hours a day. And the rest of the time is spent doing things slowly that I enjoy. Like I go out hiking, and I'm much more in tune with nature now. Nature has helped me heal in just so many ways. And so if I am feeling a little rough, I'll just go sit somewhere outside, and it starts making me feel a little bit better. Make sure that I get the sun on me. Just a few years ago, I feel like if I had heard someone say these things, I would have thought, oh, you're crazy. You're getting out in the sun. That helps you. But it does, because I think that our mentality helps in a big way in helping us heal. And I've had clients come to me before. I also do health coaching, and I've had clients come to me that laugh at some of these brain retraining things, but they've helped me. And I understand them laughing, but I really do believe that mentality helps heal people.
Absolutely. I just interviewed someone, Dr. Darla Booth. She's a functional medicine doctor. She's someone that can help others. There's a lot of stuff that we are going through. Traditional doctors are telling us it's in our head. It's there's nothing there. You got anxiety. And then they give us a pill for that symptom. But she's trying to get to the root. And what you're saying is it's best to go and try to find someone to get to the root cause of what's going on. And I think that that's a lot of things, especially on TikTok. I hear a lot of people complain about their issues, they're hurting, and I feel so bad for them because I know what it's like. Every day, we're in pain. You got fatigue that just sits on you like an elephant. And you try your best to sit up, and it's like, we're not moving today. So I get all of that, and I feel bad for them, but I'm trying to find people who can help put that positivity out there and reach out and say, yes, I was right there with you, but this is what I did, and it helped me. Now, I'm not saying everybody can be fixed. I'm not saying everything that we do will help each other, but we will save someone. We will help someone. But that has been the goal of trying to get this out, and that's why I was so happy to see, okay, like I said, you're one more person that I think can help me on this journey of empowering people through what they're going through.
I have been at that lowest, darkest point where you think that you're not going to get any better, and you're stuck like that. Everybody responds differently to every kind of treatment, especially with these invisible chronic illnesses.
Yeah.
And so I had tried so many different things, and I know that what works for me won't work for others, but for some it will. And I got to the point in my healing where I had to look at some really weird things that my family raised an eyebrow with, that I thought that I would never do in a million years, that I had to turn to psychedelics and to some intense plant medicine. And it has helped me so much that I actually started learning how to become a practitioner for one of those medicines. And I completed that training last month, but it's not something that I can do regularly because it takes so much energy and work. Opening your eyes to look at other medications and look at other types of treatment is really what I needed.
It's not just traditional. It's traditional holistic. You may have to do supplements, you may have to do herbs, whatever it is. But there's options out there for us. And so we need to have the door open. We need to be open-minded to where we're looking at avenues. This may work. We can try that. You did psychedelics. It may work for you. But if someone else hears your story, that may be something that they want to try. It may be something that they don't want to. They may want to go the traditional way. Or they may decide to go the holistic way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And I think that everyone is so different in picking what they need. And I personally got a lot of pushback when I picked the treatments that I was getting. I had a lot of friends say, "What are you doing? You shouldn't be doing this." And my recommendation there is to really listen to your gut instinct, because that's going to know better than anything. And I had to just tune out what others were saying. And that's been a big thing in my healing process too, is boundaries in general. Part of my healing process was getting rid of the toxic people.
Mm-hmm.
Each time that I got rid of one toxic group of friends, I would then shift back and find another group of friends that were just as toxic, and they were the same people. And I, again, had to take another step back and say, what am I doing here? And I finally learned how to find the right people and that if I'm doing what's true to myself, then the right people are going to fall along. I don't need to have a huge group of people around me. I just need a very small circle of people that lift me up and that are my support system. And I'm very happy with that.
Absolutely. I have been extremely happy and proud of my circle on social media. Every time I think I'm not going to meet anyone, or okay, I have enough friends, someone I interview or someone put a post up and then I respond, and then we end up talking, and it's like, okay, I'm just being shown more and more support. And so it has been awesome for me. I've met so many good people and so many people that are dealing with a chronic illness. When you're down, they're right there. If you're having, a bad day, or you go to the doctor and you post that you got some results, and they're right there for you, understanding, no judgment. And so that's really good, and that helps us a lot in our journey.
Hearing you say that, I get so warm because my social media friends, like you, have helped me so much on my journey. And it's like you connect with the right people at the right time, and you can meet people that are right exact in the same place that you are, and they fully understand exactly where you are. Then you can find that person that has healed. I used to be a marathon runner, and when I was at my sickest, I found a girl on Instagram who had Lyme got diagnosed with Lyme a couple of years prior, but she was out running 3 miles every day, and I would look at her posts every single day. I might not comment, I might not like it, but I looked at her stuff every single day, and that was my biggest motivation. My reason that I got on TikTok recently is because I want to be able to help someone that might be stuck in that place to see there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you can get there.
Absolutely. Someone brand new just got diagnosed with Lyme disease, or going through something similar than what you went through. What advice would you give them?
I would say, first off, it's going to be okay. I know that receiving a diagnosis can be scary, but it's also very, very empowering, because knowledge is power. And with that, you can harness anything and you can tackle it. I also highly recommend setting boundaries. I didn't really know what boundaries were at the beginning of this whole journey, and I had to read books on it. I read Boundaries by Henry Cloud. That was a big starting point for me in my healing journey. I also would recommend journaling. I clung on to this journal for dear life, and it had journal prompts in it for what I needed to do every single day, because when I wasn't feeling well, the brain fog was so bad, I would just forget that, I have to go walk the dog. That journal saved me. Also, listening to your gut instinct on who to work with. I rushed into finding a doctor, and I wish that I had done more research in finding one. I really recommend getting on social media and connecting with a community, because we tend to feel very alone when we're sick. Connecting with others has really, really helped me a lot.
We always think that no one else feels this. No one could possibly be going through this. You can't possibly be feeling this bad.
Yeah. And it's a terrible feeling, but knowing that there's somebody out there that understands and gets you, that helps. I mean, there were days that my chronic illness friends that are on social media that I've never met in real life, they've been better friends than my friends that have been around for 20 years. And
Absolutely.
so, you get it.
And you don't have to say much. You don't have to talk about it. And when you do talk about it, they just shake their head and go, yep, yes, absolutely, I know.
I'm shaking my head right now.
It's the best feeling. It makes you feel comfort, like I found my village.
Yeah.
And I'm learning different things. I have lupus. Someone else may have to deal with POTS or Hashimoto's. These are things that I don't know anything about, right? The other conditions. But because I've been in this community, I'm learning so much more. We all have different names to our illness. We got the same symptoms. You have fatigue just like I do.
We all fight the same thing. It's just different names.
That's why I said I may have a different name to it, but I can go to you and say, okay, do you realize it took me forever to take a shower?
Yeah.
And then I know you will understand exactly what I'm saying.
I couldn't shower today because I had to make sure I had spoons for this call.
Exactly. Right now, the biggest thing for me is trying to clean my house.
I just moved into this house in the last 3 months, and prior to that, I've been on the road, so I haven't had to clean a lot. And I just started cleaning, and it's something about moving your arms a lot and your legs and everything. I can hike up a mountain. I can hike for 4 or 5 hours a day, but get me cleaning for 30 minutes, and I can't do it. Yeah, I've had to start learning that I can do 15, 20 minutes cleaning, and then I got to sit down, and I can do the rest the next day.
And that's what I've been doing. Fatigue to me is showstopper. That's the nickname I've given it. Because
I love that name.
It stops everything.
It does. I heard you say that on one of your podcasts that I was listening to, and that's when I knew. I was like, I've got to talk to her because I love this showstopper. Because it is.
Yeah. And when she comes, I'm okay with having to take breaks. I'm okay with not being able to go somewhere because I don't feel like it. I'm okay today. But back then, that used to bother me so much.
And I used to worry about if I had to cancel plans, what somebody would think of me. And now, no, I don't care at all because I know that if I push myself too far to make someone else happy, that I'm going to be paying for it for the next 3 to 4 days.
Exactly. And you know, your support group, the people around you, they understand. They know.
They do. They know.
Yeah. Yeah, the right people. Yeah. But those other people, if they can't get it, then they don't need to be around.
I put them in what I like to call buckets. So I have buckets of friends and family members. And buckets can change. And they do change very regularly. I have my bucket of very close people that I trust, that I know, that I can tell anything. That's pretty much my mom and about 2 other girls and sisters. And then I have a bucket of friends that have been supportive, but not very supportive. I know that I can't go to them for anything 2 months. And then I have another bucket of friends that, hey, you guys have really kind of been mean to me over my illness, or you have crossed some boundaries, or you make me feel, and you make me have anxiety. I put you in a bucket very far away from me, and maybe one day we'll come back to that bucket, but you are almost outside at this point.
Yeah, I like that. I may have to steal that from you. Because I like having people in buckets. I see that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a very visual person. My people go in buckets.
Yeah. What does empowerment in illness mean to you?
Empowerment in illness. I talk about boundaries a lot, but I think that empowerment comes with setting boundaries and knowing yourself. It's all about mindset and reclaiming your power. So you get sick and we lose our power. We think we lose it, but it's really looking in, finding that power within and pulling it out and turning yourself and healing into a new person and exactly who you want to be. We have an opportunity here when we are at our rock bottom and at our lowest. We have an opportunity to rebuild and restructure our life in an entirely different way. And I think that is absolutely amazing and empowering to anyone that has had to go through this.
Before we leave, I would like to close with a special portion of the show I call Healing Heartbeats. This is where we allow ourselves to wallow in sorrow. Give yourself 3 minutes to laugh, cry, scream, cuss, or just sit in silence. Whatever you need to do to feel it, do it. Let the depression in for only 3 minutes. Once you've reached 3 minutes, compartmentalize it and get back to living. This is a rinse and repeat behavior. You cannot let depression take over, because when it does, it will not let go. When we hear about the passing of someone, they have the day they were born and the day they passed away. There is a dash in the middle. It's not a long line, but a short dash. That dash represents your life. Go live in spite of having a chronic illness. Don't let your condition stop you. Thank you, Bebe, for sharing your voice, your strength, and for becoming a member of our community. You have been an inspiration to me, and I know you'll be an inspiration to our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me on today. It meant the world that you reached out and asked me, and that my words meant something to you, and I hope that my story can help others.
I'm sure it will. It helped me. I love hearing inspirational stories. I do. I may get down every now and then, and I scroll through TikTok, and someone says something, and I'll listen to it over and over. And I'm like, wow, I'm back at the spot. That's exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
And when I saw you, when I came across your post, what you were talking about was exactly what I needed. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so glad that it helped you. And I'm so glad that I've gotten to know you, and I love your story, and I've enjoyed our conversation today.
As we wrap up today's episode, I want to take a moment to reflect on Bebe's incredible story. Her journey with Lyme disease and the other challenges hasn't been an easy one, but her resilience and unwavering positivity has shown through every challenge. Bebe reminded us today that while chronic illness can bring unexpected struggles, it can also reveal unexpected strength. Her ability to adapt, persevere, and focus on the silver lining is truly inspiring. If you're navigating a similar path, let Bebe's story be a reminder that even in the toughest moments, there's room for hope, growth, and empowerment. Surround yourself with support. Be kind to yourself, and never stop seeking the light in your journey. Until next time, I'm Gwen. Take care of yourself. Remember, you have the strength, the heart, and the support to continue your journey. Be safe.